Hello and welcome back once again for the Guinness Six Nations Talk Show. Week 3 or the round 3 action. Some unexpected results back in Rome when Scotland beat Italy. But talk all about that. I'm joined by once again Tom Varndell, former England, Leicester Tigers and Wasps. Also the Premiership highest try scorer. Before we talk about the recap, Tom, just talk about Chris Ashton just resigned from Sale Sharks. Are you happy that he just have like 8 tries to catch you?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock really, because obviously he's been playing pretty well for Sale, scoring plenty of tries as well. I know Steve Diamond's just come out in the last sort of couple of days and said there was a disagreement in how they wanted to play, and that Chris is going in a different direction, and the end of that really. But be interesting to see where Chris turns up. There's going to be there's been a couple of rumours about Harlequins looking for a winger, and Chris might slot down there. I know he's got a property down in London already, so it could be quite a nice move for him.
Do you really think he should beat your record, or do you still want someone to beat your record? Or it's just
I'd rather keep the record myself, but I don't think that's going to last too long. I mean, Chris has been playing brilliantly well this year. He is scoring tries for fun. It'd be nice if he can stay there for one more season, but if he goes to Quins and he carries on the form he had in Sale, then I can see it going very soon.
Well, Scotland beat Italy 17 points to nil in Rome. Thought about that Stuart Hogg's try. He led from the front as a captain.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think Stuart needed that on the back of maybe the first couple of games of the tournament. Obviously the drop over the line, the loss against England. He's gone back to Exeter though. He's regathered himself. He's looking sharp again, and that try was brilliant.
And talk about Hastings, the key decision maker in 10. Yes, he scored a try, but is he still that international class 10, or is still a long way to go in the absence of Russell?
I don't think he's that far off. I think the way he played at the weekend, he did play very well, and he's building and growing into that position. He's been at that leadership role, that 10 sort of pivotal role has been thrust upon him a little bit. Obviously, Finn Russell not being part of the squad, and it doesn't seem like he's going to be coming back anytime soon. Hastings is developing well. He's not the finished product yet. He's still very young, but these games and these years now, he's going to learn and develop, and he's going to become a fantastic fly half for Scotland.
And let's talking about Italy. 17 points to nil in their home ground. So much anticipation despite the coronavirus, which is Ireland games was postponed. But there's so much debate coming on whether it has to be 5 nations. Italy should be sacked.
Yeah, I know, and that's always going to happen. I mean, Italy, I personally thought Italy would really kick on this game. I thought they would challenge Scotland a bit more. They never really got going at all, and to lose by 0 points at home is, it's not great. It's not great for Italian rugby, because they really needed that to really kickstart their tournament and really get back to where they were in the World Cup. Because in the World Cup they were fantastic, I thought. And I thought, despite having a very tough group, they carried themselves well. And I was hoping that this Six Nations, they're really going to start testing some of the home nations.
And the other game we witnessed is that Wales versus France. How close was that game? But talking about the French defence against England, it was phenomenal, and they're really losing the track in terms of giving the opposition so many tries.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the defence wasn't as good as it has been, but it's still been better than it was in years previous. Wales are a very good attacking side, but it was a close game. It was always going to be a close game. Wales are a good side. They've been playing very good rugby this tournament. France have also stepped up their game. England and Ireland. It's a very competitive league this year, tournament this year, and I think it just shows that the quality of the teams in the competition.
How happy are you with Dan Biggar's performance, especially that cheeky kick he's trying to get away from the 22?
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about Dan Biggar before in previous shows, and he is the talisman for Wales. If he's playing well, then the team play well. He's done some really nice touches throughout the whole tournament, and he's just growing into that position week in, week out.
But unfortunately, he's out during the Saints game last weekend. He got a nasty injury on his knee, so he's going to be out. How Wayne Pivick will handle this team, especially when they come into Twickenham?
Yeah, there's going to be a few changes, and they're going to need to adapt very quickly. Losing Biggar is huge for them, because, like I say, he has been so pivotal in their attacking performance and his leadership in terms of his territorial kicking, and he is a big part of the team. So it's interesting to see where they go with that and how they adapt and what changes they make.
French performance, they were at one point leading 17 points to nil, and all of a sudden it became 17-16, and that Intermax interception was the killer in that game. But talking about his performance through the 80 minutes, he was the man of the match. Plus, Tom, he was outstanding. He just shows so much control, composed in terms of his decision making and in terms of his territorial kicks.
And still so young as well. There's still so much more for him to come, from him to come as we go forward.
Breakthrough player of the year in 2019, playing under 20s, yes.
And he's going to be fantastic, and France is going to have to look after him and keep, getting that confidence up and help him control that team, because the French, like I said, they've always been very up and down. If he can maintain that steady performance, that steady rise, France is going to be a very dangerous team going forward.
Absolutely, indeed. And let's talk about the other game we witnessed at Twickenham, England's first home game. We both predicted that Ireland might win, but how good is that performance?
Oh, it's brilliant, and England really did need that. I thought Ireland would go there and it would be close, but I thought Ireland would win in terms of their forward dominance. I thought they would really, and their backs, their way they get over the ball and slow England's ball down. But England were brilliant. That first half performance, I think it was 17-0 at half time, and they were a class above. They really stepped up, back home at Twickenham, and they put Ireland to the sword.
And do you think that different strategy of Eddie Jones putting that cheeky kicks, especially Ben Young's first kick, and Sexton of course made an error of judgment in that in-goal area?
Yeah, they highlighted the weakness, didn't they, in that backfield of Ireland, close to their line. There was no one really sweeping. And obviously one from Ben Young's, and I think the other one was from George.
Daly. Yeah, George was kicking, yeah.
George Ford, and then Daly scored, and it was two almost identical sort of plays, just a little of a grub or a little chip over the top, and they were brilliant. They were so good at highlighting the areas. In the second half, Ireland obviously did sort that out a little bit, and they got back in the game, but by then the game was dead.
Absolutely, yeah. Was that lack of preparation, or it's just the mindset going through the place? Because they didn't look like the real men in green on that particular day. They were like out of the blue.
Yeah, but also I think England changed up their game plan. They came away from that sort of getting the forwards into the game. They used a bit more tactical kicking and little deft chips over the top. And it was a sort of an England we hadn't seen so far in the tournament. But it just shows that England can adapt. They can change up their game plan, and they'll adapt to the opposition they're playing. They highlighted a weakness in Ireland's game, and they exposed it.
How good was Jonathan Joseph playing in the wing? You have played in the wing for a long time, and coming into that centre combination sometimes and made that twinkle toes, and he made some yards, and he was outstanding.
And it was good because he gave England another playmaker in the back line. Joseph has been brilliant for Bath at centre. He's played at centre for England. He's played a little bit on the wing, and he just added a few, just a different sort of skill set in that back line. He can come in at first receiver, he can play make, but he can also got the speed to break and the footwork to make line breaks.
Absolutely, indeed, and Johnson Sexton didn't have his time, even CJ Stander. But what do you think about Owen Farrell, the skipper, holding on CJ Stander?
Yeah, he likes to play on the edge, doesn't he, Farrell? And it's good. It's good. Yes, he gave away a penalty, but it's just he's just got that niggle, and he's always had it, and he's always going to have it. There was a bit of banter flying around after the game about it, but it's just niggle, and it gets in the opposition heads and winds them up a little bit, and that's exactly the reaction he got.
Just before the game, there's so much controversies coming in. Why so many backs or the loose forwards in that team, and Courtney Lawes playing out of his position, and he became the man of the match. He just made that real gain line impact in that game. And at the press conference, Eddie Jones also took the mickey, saying we might have 6 second rows for the next game. Your thoughts on that?
It's just, I think Eddie knows the players he's working with now. He knows that these boys can all shift into different positions. There's not you're a second row and that's where you stay. They're all very dynamic. They're all very agile. They can all interchange, and that's what makes the England sort of the balance of that pack very good, because you don't know who they don't know who they're going to pick, or the opposition don't know who they're going to pick, because everyone can slot into that role. Whether it's Curry at 8, Laws in the back row, Laws in the second row, it doesn't really matter. They're all there to do a job, and it's very fluid in terms of where they can play.
Is that means, Tom, in the future as the rugby grows, that one particular place is not guaranteed for a player?
Yeah, definitely, especially at international level. If you're good enough and you can play several positions, look at Joseph. He's been playing at centre, he can play at fullback, he can play on the wing. You need to be adaptable. You need to be able to change to suit the game plan that England want to play.
Well, that's the recap of round 3 of Six Nations, and we'll take a break and we'll be back with the previews for the week 4. Welcome back once again. So Guinness Six Nations week 4 or round 4 is just down the corner, and the first game was postponed due to the ongoing coronavirus. Italy versus Ireland. In fact, it was in Dublin, but the away crowd, maybe the rugby board didn't want to have that game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the coronavirus is really starting to ramp up a little bit, so I think it is important, and I think Italy will be quite thankful that it's been postponed, because I think they would have been in for a bit of a hiding at Ireland. But you have to look after people's health, and it's probably the best decision. So has to happen.
About the next game, the big game, Tom, Wales versus England at Twickenham. Sometimes Wales just ruins the party, because especially they'll have lost last 2 games. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, England obviously going favourites, especially after that last performance against Ireland. But Wales, you don't know what you're going to get with them at the moment. They have the ability to score from anywhere when they're on form and everything's clicking. They are pretty much unbeatable. But England, I think they're going to have to be favourites for that. They just look strong. They've got their confidence back after week 1, and they're really pushing forward now. Obviously, they'll still be chasing that title. If France slip up, then England back in pole position. So it's an interesting one, because Wales do have that ability to upset England. They have upset England many times before, especially on the final hurdle. So we'll see.
We'll see, but do you think that when Pivac has so many things to sort, especially after the Ireland games tactic, where we witnessed the kicking game, sometimes England go very deep in terms of working the ball through the wings, especially Elliot Daly and now Jonathan Joseph, of course, joining that. In terms of tactical or plan, in terms of defence, how Wales will react for this?
Yeah, England have, like you said, they've added a lot more depth to their squad. In terms of their attacking game, they can kick, they can pass it deep, they can use their forwards. They've got very dynamic forwards in their pack that can interchange as well. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one for Wales. Where do they defend? Do they defend their kicking game? Do they defend the passing game? It's they're going to have to adapt on the run during the game, because you just don't know what sort of tactics Eddie's going to try and instill in the England squad this week. And
talking about Halfpenny and George North being the senior members in that team, but they didn't really step up for their standard.
No, they were very quiet, and they need these players now to step up. Obviously, losing bigger, they now need these senior guys to pull the squad up, especially in the back line, because they need that direction now. They need that focus. They need that guy, someone to stand up and go, right, I'll kick the corners. I'll be the link man between the forwards and backs. And if they haven't got that, then they're going to be lost at sea, and that's where England will capitalise.
Alan Wynne-Jones, the captain, still leading that Wales team, but Ross Moriarty was brought in for that flank position for the physicality against French Tom. But even Toby Faletau, we didn't see his spark. We know that he was out due to the injury. He came back, played 3 games, but we didn't see that X factor coming in as yet.
Yeah, and we're going to need it, and they're going to need it this week, because, like obviously we said, the forwards of England are very powerful. They all look very fit, very strong, very mobile, and you need the players like Faletau to really pull the forwards together and give Wales that go forward, because if they're not getting go forward ball, England defence will just eat them up, turn it over, and they'll play wide and score tries. And that's why these senior guys in the world, because Wales have quite a senior team, a team with a lot of experience, and they need these boys now to pull together and get out of a bit of a hole that they're in.
Courtney Laws was outstanding man of the match performance, like we spoke before, and Mauro Itoje, he was sensational. He just get under praise on that game. Probably he could be even a co-man of the match. I don't know whether we can call like that. But talking about the front 3, Wales versus England, Owens, and we have England have Joe Marler, of course, not Vunipola not playing this week as well. So still pretty decent matchup in the front, first 3. I mean,
and then
front row.
obviously off the bench, well, probably off the bench, you got Ellis Genge coming on. The baby rhino coming in and destroying some people as well. So it is a massive matchup in the front row. Obviously Mako's not there due to the coronavirus stuff, but even still, Joe Marler's probably playing the best rugby that he's played in a long time, especially at international level. I know he did retire briefly and then came back. And,
shocking comeback,
and he's playing very, very well. So, these England boys are really hitting some form all over the squad. They've come out that World Cup and they're really kicking on, and hopefully, this week will go well and they'll be sitting top of the table.
And what do you think will happen something differently apart from the weather on Saturday afternoon? Do you think England have the edge compared to the last performance you said? But before we go for the score prediction, what do you think how the game will form in terms of pace?
I think it will start at a very quick pace. I think England will come out the blocks firing. I think Wales will try and match them. But I think in terms of the balance of both squads, I just think England will get into that game, a bit like the Ireland game. They started off very quick. They literally blitzed Ireland, and I think they'll do the same against Wales.
Can England keep that consistency? We witnessed against the All Blacks after playing phenomenally well in the World Cup. In the final, it's completely out. England did play in a similar defending and attacking platform against Ireland, but do you think the consistency?
Yeah, I think it all depends on what Wales team comes out to play. Obviously, England play certain game plans better than they play others. Obviously, the Ireland game suited them very much, but Wales are a bit more unpredictable than Ireland. Ireland tend to stay in there. They have a routine they like to play, and that's pretty much how they stay. Wales are a bit different. Obviously, they're a new coaching setup, so they're adapting all the time. Wales, if they get in their groove and they're allowed to play the wide game that they're very good at, then it's going to be a very hard day for England. But if England can stop that and play their destructive defensive game, really putting pressure on the opposition, then again, I think England will get the tails up and take the win.
Well, I think England by 20, Tom.
I don't think it'll be by 20. I think it'll be closer. I think we're looking at 34-28.
34-28. Okay, that's a really close and a tri-fest game. So let's talk about now the other game on Sunday, Scotland versus France. So France need this win. They're still in the Grand Slam hopes. And Scotland, on the other hand, after fine performance against Italy, playing in home, there's so much confidence.
I can't see Scotland winning this game. I think France are going to be. I think France have been the best team, obviously, in the tournament so far. Yes, they've been a little bit inconsistent sometimes within the game, but they've come out and they've won it, come the final whistle. And I just think the defence, the balance of their team in terms of their backs, obviously Intermac controlling things, who's really growing to that role. The power they've got in that forward pack, I just think it'd be too much for Scotland. I don't think Scotland have shown enough for me to feel that it's going to be any different to that. Yes, Hogg scored some good tries, scored a good try against Italy, but Italy are poor, and they have been poor all tournament. I just can't see Scotland having enough in the tank really to really match France.
Giving the past two games, when Scotland hosted, they have won. They have beaten France convincingly, but we know that it's a different French unit. But do you think still the home advantage will not favour in them, or is it going to be more pressure on them?
I think it'll be a bit more pressure. I can't see. The France I'm seeing at the moment, they haven't travelled badly, and I just feel because they've got quite a young squad, this young squad is sort of growing and not really phased by being away from home. I think they're just enjoying the moment, growing, enjoying being part of this sort of setup. Sean Edwards will have a massive impact on that. He was never phased out being home or away, and I think that all just runs through this young French team, and they all just want to play and express themselves, and I think that's what they'll do this weekend against Scotland.
Yeah, but do you think France will still leak some tries for this Scotland attack?
Yeah, I mean, Scotland have some good talented players. Obviously, we've mentioned Hogg already. They do have players who can break that line and can pick holes very well. There's no doubt that Scotland will score some tries, but I just think France will score more, and I think the power of France will just be too much for Scotland.
How impact or effectful the half-back combination going to be in this game?
Yeah, it's key, and I think we've looked at all the games and you see how with Ben Youngs and Ford or Farrell, how they work together to create holes and put their backs and forwards through holes. Obviously we've spoke about Intermac already, and he has been key. Obviously the French scrum half was man of the match a couple of games ago as well. Dupont. So it is key in all these teams because they are the link between the forwards and backs. These are the players that get the teams in the right positions with their tactical kicking and awareness, seeing where the space is. That half-back combination is very key.
Do you think still France has a chance for the Grand Slam?
Yes, definitely. I think if they get this potential banana skin out of the way, I think they'll be home and dry.
Finally, score prediction.
I think France will win by 20, and I think it'll be a 30 points to 6 performance there.
Well, we'll see. I like to see Scotland winning by at least 1 point. Yeah, we'll wait and see. So that's about the week 4 preview, and we'll catch up on the final week's preview next week. And until then, we are signing off.